very warm welcome to Gaming News Weekly, your weekly news show every Friday at 5 p.m. with your host, as always, me, I'm Rich, and my good friend from across the county, it's Tabs. Say hello, Tabs. As always, three stories to get into this week, and we'll have everything else at the end. Some interesting things this week. I think we're all prepared for it to go off later this evening after we start filming with the Game Awards. We're hoping for some really good stuff to come out there, but you won't be hearing about that here, unfortunately. But before we get into the main stories, let's start with what we've been playing this week. It's been a little bit sparse recently. Will it change this week? Tabs, have you been playing anything this week?
A little bit of Skyrim, which has pretty much been the same for the last 3 weeks. Still working on this Battle Mage, Khajiit character. You know, just kind of appreciating all the quirky idiosyncrasies of Skyrim, which is now obviously like a 10-year-old game. But yeah, just a nice one to kind of circle around my brain on an evening. I feel like I should say I've watched Arcane on Netflix, and because of the League of Legends kind of connection, sort of in the gaming category, I really like that series. Nice. Just waiting you to watch it.
Yes, it's on my list. And that's me, mate. Good work. Sounds like you've had an interesting week. Yeah, it's on my list, the Arcane, after your growing talk, glowing, should I say, talk about it. So I'll try and fit that in at some point. I'm still on Walking Dead. I've got about another 1,500 episodes to go on that. But yeah, in terms of playing games this week, I saw Tabs yesterday, actually in the flesh. And I said to him that, to be honest, I don't have a lot of drive to play anything at the minute. I was really enjoying playing Death Stranding, but it sort of started to feel very... Samey's not the word, but like I've trailed the path before. There's nothing like particularly new and inspiring that's keeping me wanting to come back to it, which is I think why I'm not playing much at the moment. So I'm hoping for some, obviously when we come after Christmas, we've just got game after game. So I'm excited about that, but yeah, certainly looking for something to get my teeth into at the minute, and nothing's taking up that mantle at the moment. Anything else to add, Tabs?
No, my friend. No, just... sometimes it happens, doesn't it? Sometimes you have those lulls, and I don't think you shouldn't force yourself to play games. It's not like we have a duty to the hobby to always be playing something. But no, like you say, save yourself for what is going to be a rampant 2022.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be honest, I'm already worried about the amount of time I'm going to be having to barter with the missus to play games. Right, let's get into the first story. And the first story is Halo Infinite Review Roundup. So obviously Halo's come out, and we thought it might be nice to just talk through some of the reviews. Seems generally positive, but let's get into the reviews and see what they've said. So I'll kick us off. Video Games 24/7 gave it 100, perfect score, and they had this to say: Halo Infinite isn't perfect. I mean, they gave it a perfect score, and then their first line is, it isn't perfect. What, I mean, are these people... Pony alerts. Pony alerts. What is going on? They continue to say it has foibles and struggles here and there, but it's also a slam dunk of a release. It's exactly what Halo needs to be now, as Halo relevance has felt to wane over recent years. This is a bold statement that no, Halo isn't over. It was never close. It matters, and it's still brilliant. I don't mind waiting to see where updates take it, because what's here at launch is already largely brilliant. I'm excited for the future of Halo again. Glowing report indeed.
I don't know if you mentioned, mate, but it's an 86 on Metacritic.
Oh, yes, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, just to give you a bit of an idea. We always take 3 reviews, try and give a cross-section of the kind of the best to the sort of the worst, or the fairest worst. Anyway, next up, we've got Game Informer. They gave it a 93, and this is what they said. Like many, I'm sad that Halo Infinite doesn't offer cooperative multiplayer at launch, if only because it's been a bulwark of the series' identity. It's a disappointing omission, but I have to judge the game before me, not the features I wish might be there. And by that measure, Halo Infinite is a rousing success. Whether you want a big, mysterious sci-fi adventure or a chance to engage with some intense PvP, Halo Infinite nails the shots where it counts and heralds a new era for one of the gaming's most recognisable mainstays. Is that a word, mate? Bulwark.
I don't know. It's a new one on me, but
yeah,
that couldn't mean anything.
That right. Yeah, take from that what you will, BArcadians.
The Guardian gave it an 80, and they said, you could argue that Master Chief is the necessary foil to Halo's inherent silliness. The gravelly undertones that ties it all the pratfalls together. All the same, he and his inability to get over Cortana have long since lost their charm. The series has tried to move away from him before. In that regard, Halo 3 ODST remains its finest hour. It needs to carry on trying. So sort of mixed in that review, but I mean it's got an 86 overall, so you have to say it's been widely well received by people who are reviewing it, and an 86 on Metacritic is not to be sniffed at, to be fair. Tabs, are you going to be getting this? I know it's coming to PC at some point. Is it down on PC now, or?
I don't know, to be honest, mate. Whether I'll get it, I'm not going to rush for it. Okay. I've still got games I want to play, Psychonauts 2, Deathloop, and to be honest, I feel like I'd prefer to play them first before I played this. Mm-hmm. It'd be nice to get around to it at some point because, yeah, broadly positive. Sounds like there's some, it's a fun game, certainly on balance. I think there's a sense of relief in some of these reviews, isn't there? That it hasn't been the kind of the wreck that people thought it might be, given the development hell that we know it's been through. So I think, like you say, pointing out that 100 and then them saying, well, it's not perfect. I think it's almost like they're just so relieved that it's actually a fun game and it's a decent entry in the series.
The one thing I would say is 343 have done a really good job of turning around what, to be honest, got a lot of flack, and they openly admitted that it wasn't the game that they were hoping to release. And to be fair, I think if they'd have released the game that they showed us in those trailers that were supposed to blow us away, I don't think we'd have seen scores like this. So I think in that respect, we have to give 343 a lot of credit for what they've managed to achieve, given we know where they started from.
And they're trying a lot of new things, almost in a similar vein as to Breath of the Wild's reinvention of Zelda, which is courageous. And what I gather from the reviews, as a theme, is that the gameplay is as good as it's ever been. They've lent into that, and if anything, they're probably leaning on that a bit too much. And some of the story beats perhaps don't hit the heights that we've seen in the best of the series. And certainly things like the locales, I don't think are quite as varied as they'd like, and they don't have a load of different biomes you can explore, so it's perhaps a bit samey in that respect. But no, I'm pleased for Halo fans because it sounds like they're going to have everything they want out of this experience, and I think, as it alludes in at least one of those reviews there, they're going to continue to work on this. They're going to unlock that multiplayer co-op, which will give it a whole new feel, I think, for people who've already blasted through it on single player. And then they've got the multiplayer experience as well to continue to enjoy long into the future. So, yeah, overall, at least it's landed well.
Yeah, I think one of the things, because obviously they've moved to sort of an open world style, which is really courageous for them to do that, given how previous Halo games were. But from what I understand, it's not really a fully fledged open world. It is an open world, and you can go wherever you want, but it's not like, from what I hear, it's not like Breath of the Wild, where you're stumbling across these magical, expanses, and you're experiencing all of these new things. It's very much one-dimensional in terms of, but this is where you're supposed to be going and what you're supposed to be doing, which is very difficult to do. It's like an on-rails in terms of where you're supposed to be going, but there's an open world there as well. So I think maybe...
Yeah, I think I saw it's very hand-holdy. Yeah. It's very guided, as opposed to, Breath of the Wild was designed with exploration and discovery as part of its DNA, and it perhaps doesn't quite have that. But we've done videos, mate, haven't we, about linear games versus open world games. How do you create meaningful stories in open world spaces and all that malarkey? And I suppose that they had that kind of struggle to manage. But yeah, like you say, on balance, great news.
So, Tabs, do you want to move us on to the next story?
Yep. Second story today, headline reads, Game Awards Prep. So as you've alluded to, mate, we film on a Thursday, so we can't cover this. We weren't going to stay up ridiculously late to try and squeeze it in for you BArcadians. The 318 subscribed just didn't quite warrant it. as we are part-time, disgracefully unsuccessful YouTubers. But this is what PC Gamer had to say to tantalise, and maybe they'll deliver on some of the things we're going to see. The Game Awards will be streamed live this Thursday, December the 9th. As always, the trophies and acceptance speeches will be stuck together by thick layers of sponsor glue, trailers, reveals and appearances from celebrities including Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss. Retired Nintendo head Reggie Fils-Aimé will also show up. His body is ready, but that's just because of the magic talisman that binds his soul to the Game Awards stage. He literally cannot miss it. The Game Awards are sort of like an off-season E3 conference, which is perhaps a backhanded compliment, since I mean that the trailers are a bigger deal than the awards. And Keighley has promised 6 major game reveals this year. But it does feel like the show's cachet increases a little every year, that it remains unchallenged as the biggest event of its kind. Nothing really competes. As you'd expect from a big show with lots of nominators, PC Gamer is one publication among many on the Games Awards jury. The nominations are stacked with games that have broad appeal, such as Deathloop and Psychonauts 2. But hey, those are good games that might also appear in our own Game of the Year awards. As for the trailers, more than 10 world premieres are promised in the pre-show alone. It won't just be games either. We'll see the console-only Unreal Engine 5 tech demo, The Matrix Awakens, as well as an exclusive new preview of The Matrix Resurrections, hence the appearance of Neo and Trinity. So, there's a little flavour for us. It's really exciting to hear about these 6 kind of, Omega level reveals, you might say, or at least that's what it feels like is being tantalised. Whether they'll under-deliver on that, we'll have to wait and see. Friend of the channel, Bob, keeps revving our engines, Rich, doesn't he, with Breath of the Wild 2?
Absolutely. Which hopefully is going to be in there. That'd be great.
Yeah, Keighley again has been dropping some hints that could be framed around that. I don't know. I suppose it's our opportunity, mate, to speculate. I'd love to see, I'd just be happy, Breath of the Wild 2 trailer drop, or Metroid Prime 4. I wouldn't mind either of those. And maybe, something from either Konami in the form of MGS or Silent Hill, again, much rumoured IPs that we're praying they're going to do something with, or a sequel or new game for Hideo Kojima. Because we know Keighley is, big buddies with Koch, and
absolutely.
You think he's there, don't you?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, it's a tentative link, I would say. We're going to save it for everything else, but we may as well do it here. He's put a picture on Instagram, and he's seemingly stood on some stairs, or he's taken a picture of someone stood on some stairs, and they look like the kind of stairs you would see, where people sort of come out at award shows and stuff. So I don't know, is that a hint that he's going to be at the Game Awards? This was a few days ago. I don't know. Would be not unsurprising given how close he is with Jeff Keighley. So who knows? But just on that, in terms of world premieres, didn't Elden Ring get introduced to us all last year there? Or the previous year? It has great scope for debuting these massive blockbuster games. So we shouldn't be surprised that we potentially are going to see some big ones. It tends to be that they wait right to the very end and give it and by the way, and then drop a ridiculous trailer and then drop the mic. So it'll be interesting. I think personally I'd like to see, I think it's time we saw something on Breath of the Wild 2 now. They need to start building the hype for that, because we think it's out next year. But again, that's a movable feast like everything at the moment. I think I'd really like to see an announcement for an MGS remake. It's time for myself and the industry to get what we want. I want to be playing another MGS game. I would like Kojima to be involved with that. I think Kojima's working on something. I genuinely think Kojima is working on something, and I would love it to drop here and just everyone to be aghast at what he's doing. He's doing something that blows us all away. I love that. I think the thing with Kojima is, and I go on too much about Kojima, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people like to write Kojima off. After the Konami scenario, people wrote him off. With the way Death Stranding sort of went, me and Tabs loved it. Lots of people didn't enjoy it, and I think lots of people like to write him off. I believe Kojima's got more masterpieces inside him, and I just want them to come out so we can play them. So let's see what happens. Tabs is smirking. What have you got to say to that, Tabs?
No, just that choice of words made me think like he's giving birth to these gaming experiences.
Well, he is. It's just in his mind.
Yeah, he's realising, bring him into being with as many celebrities as he can possibly make friends with.
So yeah, I'm excited for the Game Awards. I think because of the year we're heading into and the amount of releases that we're going to see next year, I think it's a good time to be dropping premieres and game announcements, because I think the games industry is going to be a buzz next year. So we'll wait and see. I hope for good things. I'm not sure I'll be staying up for it though, because I think the actual show kicks off at 1 a.m. UK time. What about you, Tabs?
Let's see it in the AM, mate. Let's see it in the AM.
Absolutely. Right. Unless you've got anything else on that, Tabs, I will move us on.
No, crack on, my friend.
Right, into our third and final story today. Horizon Forbidden West continues to sparkle in GIFs. Guerrilla Games got a lot of things right with Horizon Zero Dawn. Its first attempt at an open world action RPG after years of making shooters. One of the best aspects is its kinetic, technical combat against giant robot creatures. Fighting the metallic beast is fun and challenging, but the same couldn't really be said when Aloy came up against human baddies. In sequel Horizon Forbidden West, the studio is aiming to make fighting humans more engaging. As part of a wider PlayStation blog about combat design, Guerrilla Beau de Vries touches on fighting enemies, tribes, people, and how this part of the experience is being expanded upon in Aloy's second outing. Apparently there will be an increased number of human enemies, comprised of new enemy classes with their own combat behaviour and functions. Richard Oud, I'm going to go with, gameplay animation director, says that the goal of the teams was to make human combat as deep and challenging as machine combat. Guerrilla has expanded Aloy's toolset to move to give players more freedom is how to deal with all enemies, and applies to humans as well. Combat designer Charles Perrain gives the Resonator Blaster as an example. The Resonator Blast rewards players for using spear combos. Whenever Aloy attacks with melee, the Resonator in her spear stacks up some energy, Perrain says. The energy can be blasted at an enemy and will stick to them for a short duration. Shooting it with an arrow before it dissipates will deal a huge amount of damage. This mechanic creates a powerful synergy between close combat and ranged combat, encouraging players to transition smoothly between both. Yeah, I think I've seen one of the clips on this, and I have to say the person playing, I thought, looked like they were outstandingly good at the game. The way they're able to move between the different combats, and it's possible that it's something you could sort of learn to get good at, like all games. But I did think the people playing are really top drawer at the game and made it look very easy. I'm not convinced it is going to be easy. But we all know that this game is looking fantastic already, so I would think, given its release date, what do you reckon this is gone gold now, Tabs?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
18th of the 2nd it's out.
Not sure. Maybe though, and then they'll be working on the day one patch like a lot of companies do these days. But you know, I'm just so impressed, mate. Like these GIFs, they're drip feeding out to us all. They just look insane. Yeah, I'm sure they're on, PS5. They're not going to be what we'll see on current gen or last gen consoles, whatever you want to call it.
On that, certainly one of the GIFs I've seen definitely said take footage taken from a PS5. Carry on.
Right. But yeah, I just, the combat was one of the best things for me about Horizon Zero Dawn, and it sounds like they're just doubling down on it, and they're just giving you so much more to Aloy's repertoire, freshening up, all aspects and different enemy types. Like you say, these GIFs are always heavily authored and crafted. You have to be careful because that kind of the way those demos or demonstrations are designed, they can kind of lead you to a little bit of getting a false sense of the game, because when we play it, it's going to look nothing like as cool as that. But, the fact that you can piece all these different kind of techniques together and have the potential to create such a fluid, enjoyable, satisfactory combat experience is really exciting. And, the sort of the quality of the of the gifts that we're seeing. It reminds me of the run up to The Last of Us Part 2, mate, and how we were blown away by the kind of the holistic level of artistic craft and design going into the textures, the design, the effects, the animations. It just looks like really top tier production, and it's just super exciting. And we presume, don't we, that that's a slither of what we're going to get from the full game.
Absolutely.
It's had to be an epic game, doesn't it? So it's just, I thought we'd squeeze this in the news as a reason just to get excited and stoked about what should be a fabulous game.
I think you've actually hit the nail on the head there. So The Last of Us 2, for me, was a masterpiece. It was a very tough game, emotional, but it was a masterpiece. And I think that game is so good because of the merits of the original game. So The Last of Us, it was just called The Last of Us. And I think we're seeing the same here with Horizon. The original Horizon was a fantastic game, maybe a little bit rough around the edges, and I know people love the game, so I say that in no mean way to
run
the
for
game.
cover.
Yeah, exactly. But it wasn't faultless, and I feel like they've taken that sort of almost brilliance that they got with the first game, and they've polished it, and they've added stuff, and they've realised what kind of an incredible product they've got here. And I'm hoping that's going to lead us to this fantastic game that we're seeing now. So I'm very, very excited for this game. Very excited to play it.
Spot on, mate.
Right, let's move on to everything else. Do you want to take us away, Tabs?
Yeah, NES and SNES creator Masayuki Omura has died at 78, sadly.
Indeed, it's a shame. He was creator of 2 fantastic consoles, so sad to see him go. Second up, we've got Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Director doesn't count on there being another game, which I thought was very interesting, given the fact that we're seeing a lot of copycat games at the moment. We've spoken about that, haven't we, Tabs?
I think Sakurai is basically they've done Smash Bros. Ultimate is just like the best in the series. It's so stocked with content. It's probably like, what can they really do next?
True.
Unless they wait 1 or 2 generations before they bring out, an update to the series, it feels like it's hard to see where they would go.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And then next up, The Matrix Awakens preloading begins, and the full reveal is coming at the Game Awards. As we previously said. Indeed. I don't get this, mate. It's a demo, is it?
Well, I was excited about this but then I've subsequently read that it's an experience. That's what they're calling it. They're calling it a Matrix experience. So I'm not convinced this is necessarily going to be a game. It's going to be maybe an immersive, interactive video, maybe. I don't know.
To help promote the film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when I first read this, I was very excited. I thought we were getting a Matrix tie-in game, and I thought that would be really cool, especially using the Unreal Engine 5. I thought that could be incredible. But I actually think the way this has been sort of portrayed now, they're toning it down a little bit. So we'll see. Next up, Dark Souls director Hidetake Miyazaki.
I'd say so, mate.
Says Ico is the reason he got into games, and we both love Ico, and I thought that was really interesting that another games creator has taken inspiration from a game that we love to basically get into gaming. So that was cool.
Amazing. GTA parent company Take-Two reportedly went after It Takes-Two trademark, which sucks.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed about this. There's some suggestion that they may have to. Well, there's some suggestion they may have to take the game down from stores. They may have to change the name of the game. And I hate this because we loved that game, didn't we, Tabs? It was so much fun to play, and I feel like they had such a unique take on cooperative play, and it was just a brilliant game. And the fact that, because their name sounds a little bit like their name, they've decided to, throw their weight around. I feel like
pathetic, petty little.
Exactly. Exactly. Next up, Kojima, and I've mentioned this in the thing. Pictured on stairs, looked very award ceremony like. Could we see a big announcement at the Game Awards tonight? We've covered that off earlier.
And also in Kojima Productions Death Stranding news, Sony patents multiple systems from Death Stranding, and could this mean a Death Stranding 2 or possibly those systems being finished that off for me, mate, because I've lost it here.
Used on a different game, basically, because Tabs mentioned that they've patented these, and I thought that's interesting, but that doesn't necessarily confirm a Death Stranding 2. That means potentially they're going to be used in a different game. They like the idea of it and they want to patent it and use it elsewhere. Anyway, I think after blabbering on for 26 minutes, that's probably about it for the news this week. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, definitely give us a like. It really helps us with our breaking through the algorithms, even though that doesn't work. And if you're new here and you've enjoyed seeing me and Tabs talk about games and Tabs' delightful suit, then please subscribe to the channel and become a BArcadian today. But I think that's about it. Another one for the archive.
Samson completed.